Wonderhussy here. Today I'm at West Yellowstone, or near Yellowstone Park, and Yellowstone is kind of on the border of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho on the western side. I'm on the shores of this beautiful lake called Hebgen Lake. Kind of reminds me of Lake Tahoe, all these pine trees, beautiful blue color. But it has this amazing, fascinating, tragic history that I never knew about. Check this out. Just a few minutes before midnight on August 17th, 1959, so not even that long ago, there was this horrible earthquake here, a 7.5 magnitude, which if you know anything about earthquakes, that's a really burly earthquake, came roaring through here. And I don't really understand the geology of it, but I guess there was like two plates that shifted like suddenly, causing 7.5 magnitude earthquake, and caused this entire lake to tilt because one side went up higher, like one of the plates under the lake went up higher than the other one. So now the level of the lake tilted and all the water from that side ran down to this side. So all the people on that side of the lake that had lakefront cabins, now all of a sudden their cabin was way up above the level of the lake. But all the people on the other side of the lake that were camping or staying in cabins on the shore, now all of a sudden the water came flooding in and flooded to their cabins. There was a landslide that buried a campground. 28 people died in this earthquake. It's really terrifying and really sad. And there's this really cool informational sign. Look, tells you a little bit about it. You can see here's a picture of the interior of this lakeside lodge, one of the rooms at a lakeside lodge. You can see where the water just came in and flooded everything. And then if you look here, you can see the water stains on the wall. That shows you the levels of the waves that came rising in with the aftershocks. And then here they kind of blew it up in color. You can see the water line. It's just crazy. It almost looks like lines of sediment in a rock. This is nuts, man. It just tells you some history here. And some old pictures that shows like this old lodge that was sitting here at the side of the lake just fell right in, got flooded. You can see here where, look at that, even the highway just buckled and broke and these huge chasms opened up in it. And then it says here, like water in a tilted pan, the lake sloshed slowly back and forth several times, alternately swallowing and exposing areas. They're called seiches, those waves. And I guess the highest seiche even breached the dam. There's a dam at the far end of the lake there. I guess the seiches are what left these watermark lines too. Just terrible. Here's an overview. Here's where we are. That's the highway we just drove on. We came down here. This was the old highway, the road that got all buckled. We'll see that in a minute. We'll walk along it. You can actually see parts of it. It's just terrible. The highway fell into the water. There was a landslide. I mean, it was just terrible. Just terrible. And we're going to see all of this. You can actually go down and look at the old lodge. There's still part of it there. And then look, check this out. This woman was sleeping in her cabin. This was the woman who ran the lodge. And her cabin just floated and ended up way over here. We'll be able to see that too. I mean, it's just crazy. This is actually a really cool little trail that they built, this informational trail. You can walk down along and check out the ruins of the old lodge and everything. Wow, look down here. I don't know if you can read that sign. It's kind of far away, but it says this was the entry road for Hilgard Resort before the earthquake. And you can kind of see sort of tracks coming through the reeds and grasses there. That was the entry road that you followed down to this beautiful lakefront resort down here, which is obviously no longer here. Check this out, man. Here's the little trail that goes down to the old ruins of the lodge. This is where the lodge was. Now remember that road, you would have just driven right down here and parked your car and then checked into your cozy little cabin. Not anymore. Holy crike. I've never seen anything like this. I can't believe I've never heard of this disaster. It's pretty major. 28 people dead in an earthquake. Look at that. The old lodge, and it's just it's fallen into the beautiful lake. Just crazy. Holy cannoli. I've never seen anything like this. Look, we can even kind of walk down this little trail here carefully and get a little bit closer. Check it out. Looks like something from like the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. Wowzers. Can you imagine? Look at this beautiful stone wall that was behind it. This must have been a beautiful resort back in the day. I mean, check into this cabin right on the shores of this beautiful lake, fishing, boating, swimming. And then all of a sudden one night, it was all ruined. Holy cow. Really terrifying. I've always been afraid of earthquakes because I grew up in the Bay Area and I was actually in that quake in '89 during the World Series. It was really scary. So I've always been afraid of earthquakes, but I guess, you know, without these crazy geologic fault lines, we wouldn't have all these cool mountains and hot springs and everything, so it's part of the price you pay. That's why you gotta live every day as if it might be your last, because you never know if the cozy lakeside cabin you're staying in is gonna fall into the lake in the middle of the night. There's more ruins of more old buildings, or maybe that was a pier or something. And then you see those like poles sticking up. I think they're actually trees. Those were trees growing on the banks of the lake. You know, I mean, the lakeshore went out quite a ways there before the lake tilted, right? It's just so sad. And look, here's the old pipes that were coming out. Holy wow, look at that chimney. There's plants growing in it now. Nature taking back over. And look at that. That is a trip. Just terrifying. So sad. And then look across the way here. More old ruins of cabins. At least this one wasn't submerged in water. But I guess the whole resort ended up being abandoned, so... you know, they probably just left this one. I mean, I'm sure this one had water damage to it, like from the waves sloshing up. Holy crike. Dang. So freaking sad and creepy. Oh, wait, look, here's the roof. That was the roof. So sad. And then look through here. We can kind of sneak through here. And there's a little... I guess this was like an outhouse. Maybe, oh, maybe those weren't plumbing pipes. Maybe it was just, I mean, in '59, maybe they didn't even have indoor plumbing. They just had an outhouse, because look at this. Looks like it was definitely an outhouse. The bird just flew out of here. Holy wow. Dang. I wonder what this old fixture was, like the toilet paper holder or something. But look, it's kind of a two-sided outhouse. I guess maybe it was his and hers. Male, female. Dang. You guys want to see down inside the toilet? Yikes. Boy, if there was ever a reason to say yikes, this is it. I think the scariest thing is the people that were camping. I guess, you know, people were just buried alive from that landslide or flooded. You know, sleeping in your tent 1 minute and the next minute, no more. Look, this is supposedly one of the old campsites. The night the earth cracked. Quiet August night in a popular Forest Service campground. Abruptly, the ground trembles and jolts. Then with a roar, a crack appears, slicing through the campground and across Cabin Creek. Holy crike. Here's where we are, look. Right on the Hebgen Fault. So this went down. I guess that's what caused the lake to slosh. Supposedly you can actually see the campsite where the firing and the picnic table got separated. I think that, yeah, I don't know if you can see that bald area there, that's the scarp. Oh wow, look, you can see the friggin' firing. Look, there's the little firing down there. But where's the picnic table? Supposedly the picnic table was up there, I guess. Can you imagine you're sitting there sitting at the table waiting for your s'mores to finish, and then all of a sudden yikes. I think I would lose my appetite for s'mores at that point. Okay, here we are at the top of the scarp. Huh, maybe this is the splintered ruins of the old picnic table from 1959. Wow-wee. Spooky. Here's the paper from the day after, the Salt Lake Tribune. So sad, man. It's just so sad. Look, the quake made headlines across the country. One article tells the story of a family fleeing towards West Yellowstone that hurtled over a 6-foot fault scarp and crashed. Fortunately, they escaped with minor injuries. Some of the cracks in the highway were 20 feet deep. I had no idea that this even happened. Usually when you hear about earthquakes, they're in California, right? But I mean, we are right outside Yellowstone National Park. There's a lot of geologic activity there, so you know, it makes sense. There's a big caldera under Yellowstone that's supposed to blow any day. I'm sure you've heard about that, and if you haven't, look it up. It's a no-brainer. You go into Yellowstone and you see those gassy, bubbling, burbling, sulfurous hot springs, and like the earth is angry, man. And honestly, can you really blame it? I mean, if I was the earth, I'd be pretty upset too right now. We humans have made a mess of it. You know what I mean? Okay, now let's go down this way. A leap just in time is up here. I think this is the lady whose cabin floated away. But look, the road we're on, this was the old highway. You can see where it's all like cracked. I wish you could still see the parts where those big, you know, 20-foot chasms were, but even that's pretty freaky. Okay, check it out. Here's another informational sign. A leap just in time. Survival tactics. 70-something-year-old Grace Miller was a self-professed tough old bird when she found herself boating past her submerged home, which had sunk to the roof line. Let me see if there's a picture of that. Well, oh yeah, here, that's it. Sunk to the roof line in Hebgen Lake, she responded to the situation with humor. I hope it stays upright. My teeth are still on the kitchen counter, right next to the sink. Now that's my kind of tough old broad. I hope I end up like that someday. It says, prior to the earthquake, Grace Miller's small lakeside home sat up the hillside from here. She ran the Hilgard Lodge, renting cabins and boats to vacationers. On the night of August 17, 1959, she woke up with a strange feeling that she needed to get out of the house immediately. When she and her Malamute dog, Sandy, reached the door, she found it jammed shut. Strengthened by adrenaline, she kicked the door open, only to find a 5-foot gap between the stoop and the shore. As she and the dog leaped, the house dropped away behind them, sinking into the lake. Wow, she really did leap just in time. In fact, look, there's a picture of her leaping, or a drawing. She and Sandy headed cross-country. The dog stayed close to Miller, several times stopping her before she fell into crevices. Oh, a dog saved her life. Wow, look, here's a picture. You can see where the highway that was the highway, man. Yikers. Or even worse, look at that picture. Terrifying. I mean, it was midnight, so I guess a lot of motorists probably weren't on the road, especially back in '59. You can see here that look at the road, the highway. Oh God, little chunks of it are still left. How terrifying. This is like something out of a horror movie. Look, chunks there, chunks here, and it just kind of clunk. It says the steep shoreline up ahead is where it used to run, so I guess the highway just kept going around the lake back then, but now they rebuilt it way up yonder. Look, down here on the shore of the lake, you can still see like crumbled bits of foundations and stuff. So sad. All these lives that were lost here, just terrible. Nothing here to remind you of them. Except for these old crumbling foundations. Wow, what an interesting place. I mean, very sad and scary.